Thank you for joining me in this presentation today. This video is one of a series of introductory presentations created to show off some of the wonderful features of timeSensor Legal. Every feature in timeSensor Legal was carefully engineered to save time and unnecessary work. In this 10-part series, each presentation builds upon a preceding video. We recommend watching each presentation in the order they were created at least once. In order to show you timeSensor Legal and its core functionalities, we have prepared a little demo scenario comprising of a small lawyer's office with just a few employees. Bear in mind that timeSensor Legal can just as easily scale to much larger firms and hundreds of employees. This demo assumes that the date is April 1st. So let's begin. In our last video session, we left after Michael finished two documents, a letter to his client and a fax to the opposing attorney, and he updated his timesheet. We are still in Michael's area and his case folder is still open. Before a lot of people starts working on this case, we should send the client an invoice for a retainer on account. Let's close the case folder and open the dossier. Something typically done in the first few days is the client gets an invoice on account. And it's going to be a retainer, and we're going to ask that the client pay $2,000. You can see here in the invoices section that the first invoice has been created, an invoice on account, and it's a retainer for $2,000. Okay, now we'll continue working on this case. Maybe Steinman does something. Susie the trainee does something. Multiple people do something, and each person enters their time spent on their respective timesheets. The case timesheet will be transferred on a daily basis, generally at midnight. timeSensor Legal will take everything that has been entered in timesheets and transfer these services to their respective dossiers. For the benefit of this example, we won't wait until midnight, of course. We'll do this manually. So let's go to Erna's timesheet. Here we have what she has done on this case, and we'll transfer it now, manually. Remember, timeSensor Legal will do this automatically later tonight. To transfer this manually, there is a command that does this in the Tools menu. Here's a command that says transfer this to the dossier. And as you can see, this has now been done because this check mark appears indicating that this service has been transferred to the dossier. And the same thing we'll do with Michael's timesheet. We'll transfer this to the client's dossier. Okay, back to the dossier. There are many ways to do this. Of course, one way is via the Contacts area. Bring up the client and double-click to open his dossier. You can see that the various services that have been entered into the timesheets are now appearing here because they need to be invoiced. Actually, we have asked timeSensor Legal to do this for us automatically on a monthly basis. However, for this 5-minute demo, we do not have the time to wait, so we will again do this manually. Over here, we have an action button where we can access a command that says Invoice Case. So we're now going to invoice the whole case, all services that have been rendered so far. So a second invoice has been created, and you can see that there are no services remaining to be invoiced. If I click on the invoice, I can see the content of the invoice. If I double-click, I can actually open the invoice record itself. This is the invoice record for this invoice. As you can see, the payable amount of the invoice is $0. Why is that? Well, because the billable amount of the invoice is only $342.50, and we still have $2,000 on account. The system automatically takes this $342.50 from the money available on the account, leaving the account balance at exactly $1,657.50. This concludes the 5th video of our series. We hope you are enjoying this brief introduction to timeSensor Legal. We intend to keep these videos short, interesting, and easy to assimilate. In this video, we have seen how the various individual timesheets of employees working a case are all consolidated into the dossier of a client. We had to do this manually, of course, because of time constraints. Yet it was good for you to see how easily it can be done. However, had we not done it manually, timeSensor Legal will have done the work for us all automatically around midnight. We wouldn't have had to touch a thing. We also saw an invoice on account created. We also manually created an invoice that would have automatically been created by timeSensor a few weeks down the road. I think you are starting to see a pattern now. Nothing we've witnessed in timeSensor Legal has been hard to do, nor time-consuming, even when done manually. timeSensor Legal prefers to stay out of your way so you can focus on the case in front of you. In the next video, we'll continue looking at invoicing. Goodbye. We'll meet again in the next video.